We now want to bring up Josh Kang, who is one of the guest curators for tonight's show, Bodily. Fluid is revolutionary!
Thank you. I want to thank Nix, my co-curators who are Wen Tan Hong and aren't are not able to make it tonight, so I'm here alone to introduce this program. And I also wanted to give you a little background on some of the pieces, since some of them may need a little bit. The third piece that all of these pieces, except for the third piece that you're going to see, are U.S. premieres. They're all made by Thai artists in Thailand. The third piece, Aftershock, just to give you a little context for it, the artist is Thunska. There's two pieces of his in here. And he's actually won from the Ministry of Culture an award for being the best artist of the year kind of thing. So they give him money to do things. But at the same time, he's banned and censored in Thailand. So this piece,
sounds like New York.
This piece he was given $4,800 after the tsunami of, what was that, 2006? The year of the tsunami. So the year of the tsunami, after the tsunami, he was given $4,800, and he was given 5 days to do a piece about the area of the tsunami. So that's the context for Aftershock, which is the third piece. Observation of the Monument, which is the fourth piece, is by Michael Shawanasai. You may know him. I think his Iron Pussies have shown at Mix before. He is Iron Pussy. But in this piece, it's a 3-minute excerpt, which is a documentation of a 1-hour live performance in Bangkok. So I just wanted to let you know that. The fourth piece, and we have two pieces by Tan Marin in this program. Tan Marin is the first male to female transgender in Thailand to have a feature film. Some of you may have seen it played once in New York. Insects in the Backyard. Okay, it's only played once in New York. It's been banned in Thailand, so maybe like 1,000 people in the world have seen this. But it's played once in New York for a fundraiser at some gallery, I can't remember. But look it up and you'll be impressed, I think. So she has two pieces in here. She's the first, like I said, male-female transgender director to have a feature film from China. The sixth piece, Essence de Femme, from Chamalekla, I have to let you know that there are no subtitles for this piece. And she was working on subtitles for this piece, but as many of you might know, Bangkok is underwater, and we were not able to get a piece that had subtitles before the performance. So it's not subtitled. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a quick rundown of what you need to know.
Why don't you go running translation?
I don't think that's necessary because the film is very visual and you will definitely not feel like you need the subtitles. The only things that you need to know, there are three kind of segments. There's one which is a cooking show. There's one where people are having sex with places where there's no dialogue at all. And there's one kind of segment where there's a girly boy and a girl who are doing stuff. So in the third segment, they're just saying sweet nothings to each other. It's not really important. In the first segment, for the cooking show, you have a katainoi, which is like a baby Chinese, who's doing a cooking performance for you. The only things that you need to know about the cooking performance is that she's making international chicken curry. And in Thai, curry is slang for prostitute, and chicken, like in English, is slang for a young guy often who sells himself. So that's the only thing you really know, I think, for context. So you don't need the subtitles, that's all you need. And the last piece by Thunska, again, I mentioned that he's won these awards. The last piece was made from money that he was given based on one of the awards that he won. And he used an actor in this piece from, Apitchapong, who's like the darling of Thai cinema. So Apitchapong is also sometimes censored in Thailand. So his film Syndromes in the Century was censored in Thailand. So one of the actors, so Thunska, after he won this award, asked one of the actors from that film to perform in this piece. So that's kind of the time. It's about censorship. There's no dialogue. There's no anything. So that's just kind of the context for the piece as opposed to And none of the artists are able to be here. They're all back out.
But you'll be back after for Q&A?
I can take some questions after, and I hope you enjoy the show. Thank you.
Student protests, the police kind of mowed down a bunch of students and they burned people's bodies, they hung people. So it was quite gruesome, as you saw in some of the images, but they were kind of went over those very quickly. So there's definitely this political context, and it makes sense in the current situation since Thailand is still a little unstable. Probably will, if the former coup prime minister comes back next month, will become even more unstable. But there's this way in which a lot of the pieces that don't directly use the images of politics are addressing politics. Like the last piece by Thunska, Middle Earth, where you just see the two naked men the entire time. So I mentioned before that he won from the, and you notice that it's sponsored by the Ministry of Culture. So he won a prize from the Ministry of Culture for being one of the best artists, maybe about 5 years ago. So he got a 100,000 baht prize, which is probably about now 3,000 and some dollars. So he used the prize money to make this video in which he shows naked bodies, which are censored in Thailand. So this cannot show in Thailand. And he used an actor from a film by Apichatpong, Syndromes in a Century, which I think maybe some of you have seen it, which is also censored in Thailand. And even though it's won awards at places like Cannes and other places, it's censored in Thailand. And the Ministry of Culture said in order for it to play in Thailand, you have to cut 3 scenes from the film. And Apichatpong said, if I have to cut scenes, I'm not going to show it in Thailand. So it has played in Thailand, but never in like a release. It's only played kind of bootleg in theaters. And so they had a screening of these kind of censored films at a Cineplex. And they showed Syndromes in a Century, and they showed Middle Earth as well. So for him, it was a statement about showing naked bodies on screen because naked bodies are always censored. And those were gay male naked bodies, which are even. Actually, the actors aren't gay, but making it look like gay naked bodies is even more, for him, a statement. And if he has a new feature out called The Terrorists, if anyone's seen that, which is produced in Germany. But the theme, he has certain themes that kind of recur in his work. So it's always very political. He's from the south of Thailand, which has a Muslim insurgency. And the government has cracked down on that and killed a lot of people, etc. So he always incorporates the Muslim insurgency into a lot of his work. He also often includes naked men's bodies. And he also has this kind of surveillance imagery where like he often hires sex workers and like does things with their bodies on screen as if you, the viewer, were like a sex tourist or whatever. So he does different things with these kinds of images that play with different kinds of politics.
I found myself wondering with the prominence of Thailand as a like sexual tourism destination, how that helps or works against artists who are interested in exploring sexual themes in their work.
So it does one. Like for works like Thunska, and we saw 2 of his pieces. The last piece was his, and then the piece where at the end you see the guy jerking off with blood. Those 2 pieces were his. So he often kind of plays with kind of sex voyeurism in many of his works. So you're kind of situated as a sex tourist. Michael Shawanasai's piece that you saw where he's kind of in drag on a pedestal. Michael Shawanasai also does a lot with kind of playing images of sex tourism. So he has like this, one of his censored photos was, there's a gallery that's owned by the Queen of Thailand, and they had a show of Thai art, and one of the images was a photograph of Michael Shawanasai with cum all over his face. And it said, "Please come again." Me kind of referring to, Thailand and this idea that, Thai bodies are just these things that you can use and come on and, please come again, kind of like welcome back as a tourist. And that was supposed to show in the gallery, but it was censored. Not surprising. But so there's a lot of work that uses those tropes. There's another artist, Maitri, who he primarily works in photography, but he did an installation called Silong Isan Boy Soy 4, I can't remember the exact name, but also working with these kind of images of sex. It's very common in Thai art for them to address sex tourism in their work, either indirectly or directly. A lot of people do photography of sex workers in Thailand, whether they're male, female, transgender. There was an exhibition a couple of years ago, I think like 2 years ago, that was really controversial. It was on underage sex workers. So it was on male sex workers, all who were they were between 10 and 18. Very controversial because obviously it's not only illegal, but very shameful in the international arena. On the other hand, Thailand has very strict censorship laws. You cannot show nudity. It's censored. So these images, ironically, don't circulate in Thailand except in bootleg arenas. So on the one hand, you have this, I mean, it's the only place I know in the world where you can go and see live sex shows.
Yeah.
And just, you know, pay some money and then you walk in. But pornography is illegal, right? Because you cannot make, I mean, there's an underground porn industry, but pornography is still illegal in Thailand. Nudity is illegal in Thailand you can't have Playboy Magazine, for example, in Thailand. So there are these contradictions, and Thais are very sensitive, of course, about the fact that people think that, you know, if you've seen that map recently, how Americans see the world, Thailand is labeled brothel on the map. And Thais are very sensitive about that, and because of that, the government is extremely sensitive about images of Thai people that are sexualized. So a lot of them get censored. So, I mean, a lot of the artists play with that, but at the same time, there's a backlash from the government side. Okay, one more?
I had the question, some of those bodies look like they had been branded. I mean, was that just a strange shaped burn, or is there some sort of torture where they would brand people or claim they own them or something? It was very puzzling to me because it looked like a cattle brand.
Are you talking about the last piece?
I'm talking about several of the pieces. Yeah, there showed the scars of burning, and it looked like they had been inflicted in shape, but I'm not sure about that. Then there was another that had a big black splotch on the body. Is that caused by something specifically? Torture?
All of those are accidental, and if you see Thai bodies that are unclothed, you will see that often because a lot of people just get hurt as children. And like a lot of people have burn scars, have different, it's relatively common to see that on people's bodies.
Scooter wrap. Yeah, scooter wrap.
Thank you so much.
Pick up a catalog, check out everything else that's going on this weekend, and have a great evening.